Hey folks, welcome back to the channel and our take on the patch notes. I always do these a little bit different than everybody else. It's my way of doing it. Take it or leave it. Don't expect everybody to like how I go through them, but it's my way. I don't have anything else to do right now because, like a lot of you folks, I can't get into the game. It took me about 3 hours to get in after the wipe came, the servers came up, and then I got about 4 raids in, and then I closed the game because I thought I had a matchmaking bug, and then I haven't been able to get back in since. So 6 hours, 4 raids. It's been a rough start to the wipe. So I figured we'd do a patch notes review and try to get those caught up that haven't been able to see it or look through it yet, and just get the info out to you guys. So Ground Zero is the first one, and this is the place that I've run my raids on. I've done 3 PMC raids here. It's at the city center of Tarkov. So it's going to feel a lot like Streets. Feels very, very, very close to Streets, if you will. The way it's laid out, the terrain, the buildings, the kind of looting, that kind of stuff. It's intended for beginner players level 1 to 20. So apparently once you reach level 20 plus, which tells me level 21, you won't be able to access this anymore. But scavs, even if your PMC's 21, you'll still be able to, or higher, you'll still be able to scav into this location, which is kind of, I don't know, it's a starter location. Like it seems like that's a way for higher level players to kind of bully lower level players, but it's still somewhere for the lower level PMCs to go and avoid all the higher level geared players. There are also a handful of starter quests here. There's not a lot of guides out on them yet. We'll get them in the next day or two as people get through the tasks and get them done and get layouts done. We don't have any maps really. There's one map. I'll throw a link down in the description for it. It basically is the same. It's the one that BSG shared with us, and it does work okay. You know, it's got some points on there. It kind of shows you where the exits are, but getting around can be kind of tough. It's not as easy as well laid out as some of the other maps. And then the quests debut, checking shortage, supplier, gunsmith part 1, those come after these tasks. So don't skip Ground Zero. You do have to go get a couple of starter tasks there. I don't know that if you hit like level 21 they automatically finish, or if BSG has thought that far ahead or taken care of it. So you're going to want to get these done, or it could block some tasks later. Maybe, not totally sure yet on how that all lays out or what they might adjust later. Next up is the new boss, Kolantai. He is up on the north end of Streets, up by where the mall is and where Cardinal is. That is the new boss. He is ex kind of cop, if you will. Kind of armored, runs an RPD, some other guns, has melee stuff. Not a lot, obviously. Some people have fought him yet. I haven't. Just a new boss that we're gonna have to figure out how he works, where he roams, what he does, what he has for loot. But that'll come in the following days. Kaban also got new guards, like specific named guards, Basmach and Gus. Don't know a lot about these guys yet. It talks about how they like melee weapons. They're gonna charge Kaban's enemies. So my guess is instead of the other guards that are kind of all over the place, they're gonna be like right next to him. Kind of make it harder to cheese him the way people had kind of figured out last wipe. But people are still going to figure it out. Give it a week or two, and there'll be guides and ways to get to Gabon and figure out how to fight him inside of Lexos now with that. Shoreline got a complete overhaul. I have not checked it out yet. I saw a couple screenshots. I glanced at a couple streamers that were playing it. The map is completely changed. Like some stuff's kind of familiar, but so much of the map has been overhauled with the areas between the resort or power or the sunken village, all that stuff, the stuff in between them. There's a lot of changes that have been made, so it's going to take a bit to get used to it. People are talking about how the map feels really good and it's really cool though, so I'm eager to get that out. Some of the stuff they talked about is visually reworked most of the landscape. They added a new area. There's a small cattle farm which is home to smugglers and scavs. That is on the east side of the resort, I believe, based on the pictures I saw. They updated light sources. I'm not sure exactly what that means, but I do know that the lights that you couldn't shoot out on Shoreline, you can now shoot those out. So that might have something to do with that. They also optimized most of the location, completely redesigning the culling system, rework location borders, concrete fence replaced by minefields and snipers in most areas. The area is also slightly expanded in some areas. So the map got a little bit bigger. Again, I haven't checked it out yet. We'll probably have updated maps within the week, especially from guys like Reamer and stuff that do really good detailed maps. We'll be able to get some of that stuff out for you guys. And when we get them, I'll throw them in a video with links so you guys know where to find them. They reworked some points of interest, including the addition of new quests and activities in several previously empty zones. Some areas have been reworked to improve gameplay, added river crossing, reworked almost all elevations and sniper positions, as well as scavs, areas of interest, etc. This is a big thing because the way Shoreline was laid out is you had these little hot spots all over the map, but everything in between them was just dead areas or like sniper fucking death traps. People laying around doing their shooter born in heaven or whatever. Shoreline was a tough map. It was a lot of running, not a lot of action. That's why a lot of people didn't like it. So we'll see if this rework revitalizes it, makes it a little bit better. Remains to be seen. Big maps still have that tendency because they're big. So we'll just have to see how the rotations and the engagements happen now with all the new stuff they've done. They said they also added more than 30 new containers for Jaeger stashes. That is a ton, especially on a map that already had a ton. So you'll see people kind of finding where those out. And remember, with dynamic spawns, sometimes they're there, sometimes they're not. So finding them is going to be tricky, and it will take a little bit longer than normal, but they'll get popped up and you might just stumble across some on accident, which is kind of cool. And then they said they fixed over 1,200 visual and minor bugs. That seems kind of more like a pat on the back to me because I don't know what that means. It'd be nice to have some more specifics, but they fixed a lot of bugs on Shoreline. I guess the fact that there was 1,200 bugs to fix on a map that old is kind of troublesome, but hey, they're fixed, right? Now with this, we get all the new equipment and weapons. Specifically new weapons is the KBP 9A91 and the KBP VSK. These are kind of like baby VSS's ASVALs, like if you took an SR2 and an ASVAL and mashed them together, or you have a SR2 that shoots the 9x39 round. They added the SIG MCX Spear with its actual 68x51 or the 277 Fury round. No information on it yet. I've seen a screenshot of it. I'll try to get it to the editor so you can see it. Cool looking rifle, potentially meta. We'll just have to see what they do with penetration and damage on it. It's kind of like a 308, but a little bit smaller, bigger. Oh, I don't want to piss off the crowd, the super gun crowd about it. It's going to be probably a meta weapon. Think of an SR25 that probably has fully auto. That's kind of where I have it in my mind. But it just depends on where it is. They also added the RPD and the RPDN, which is a machine gun belt fed that shoots 7.62x39, but I think a lot of people knew that. And then they updated the models and animations for the SKS. I haven't had a chance to play with those yet, but it'd be interesting to see what those are and how they did it. And maybe, just maybe, this is me coping hard, but we might get clips to load SKSs and Mosins maybe in the future. Maybe that's part of this, stepping to that. Again, coping, probably not the case, but it would be nice, right? Along with that, we had an achievement system added to the game. I've already got a couple of these. I didn't look at it in great detail because I was just trying to get into raids. I did see a couple achievements complete, like as I extracted her, I got to kill, some achievement would pop up in the bottom. So that's going to be a place to go check out. And they're visible by everybody. Like your stats and stuff is visible by not your friends, but all the players. You can go look at stats of people that killed you, whatever, and see what they are. So now people can bitch that somebody has 20 KD. They're obviously a cheater, and report them, regardless of any of the other facts. It feels like that's where we're headed with this, but we'll see. Hall of Fame is a new place in the hideout. Haven't seen it yet. Cool thing where you can display mementos, if you will. You can display dog tags of players of the opposite faction killed by your PMC. So if you kill somebody, you get the dog tag. If you're a bear, it's a USEC tag. If you're USEC, it's a bear tag. Want to see what that is because it says it's a bonus combat to skills leveling. So, and the higher the level of the tag, the more bonus you get. So that's kind of a cool system. At least I think it is. So we'll have to wait and see what that boils down to. But I like it and just what it looks like. And then you can add items to your favorites, such items will be displayed in your profile. So there's going to be a place with the profile view that you can have favorited items. You know, you show off a mask you got, or, you know, who knows what. Hitboxes. The hitboxes are going to take a lot of work. I don't want to get into a bunch of detail here. They talk about dividing up the hitbox zones to match all the various armors and stuff, which is the next thing. It's going to take a lot of testing to see exactly how these lay out. They talk about, you know, for example, the thorax and stomach hit zones are divided into front, back, and sides, but exactly where that happens on a round surface, a round character on your model, remains to be seen. We'll get a bunch of testing on and try to figure that out so people kind of understand how that works, where it rotates, where it changes, if it does, if there's overlaps. There's going to be stuff like that happens. It's just how it works. But they did add a bunch of zones. Like it says the pelvic hit zone is divided into front, groin, and back. Buttocks. Hits to these zones cause damage to the stomach zone. So even though you have one hit point pool, you have a lot of hit boxes now, just kind of like how the head used to work. Ears, eyes, jaws, top of head, all that. Even though there's more now. With that, the big change that I noticed that I think is really interesting is the forearm hit zones have been reduced in diameter. So that the radius around your arm, diameter around your arm is skinnier now. So they're going to be harder to hit. It remains to be seen how that really impacts fights. It could be a huge change. It might not matter at all, just because a lot of people, you know, you get into those fights and arms will eat a lot of rounds. And on some of the smaller damage ammos like 995 or even BS, it leads to be a struggle to kill players sometimes because the arms eat so many of those rounds. And then with that, with the death zone, the death screen shows more detailed information about the area that was fatally wounded. For example, thorax, upper back. Didn't look super closely at it. I skipped through the 2 screens that I died last time because I was in a hurry. Maybe a little salty, raged through them. I'll get more detail on this. We'll talk about it more. We'll try to figure out the specifics, any kind of intricacies or special information there, just so people understand what they're seeing, because the systems are not simple. Now with armor, they added a ton of ballistic plates. 37 ballistic plates have been added to the game, 7 for the chest, 6 for the rear, 20 for the side. These are universal plates, and 20 universal plates for the chest and rear section, and then 4 for the side sections. I read that wrong. This means that your armor is going to have plates that you can interchange between different armors. I haven't got through much of the system yet. All the armors I've seen don't have plates. They're all just internal, like built-in armor zones, or built-in plates, if you will, that are all repairable. So it doesn't look any real different other than like a P.A.C.A. instead of having 50 durability, it has 100 now because each zone has 50 durability front and back, or I guess then it had sides. Like, I'd pull it up, but I'm still not able to even press the play button, which is, super cool. But yeah, everybody else, I know I'm just bitching, but frustrated with it. The plates are going to be interchangeable with different armors. Classes 1 through 4 are going to be available on traders and the flea market. 5 and 6 are not on the flea market and will be available on traders, probably through higher level quests and barters and things like that, or found in raid. You can find them in raid, obviously, all of them. 1 through or 2. Did they say 2 through 6 or 1 through 6? I don't think there's class 1 plates anywhere, but I could be wrong about that. The big deal with this is that you can change plates as long as you're not wearing the armor. And that's what it looks like to me, is that if you find somebody's armor, you can pull, and the plates are good, you can pull the plates out of it and then potentially use those in your armor later in the raid, same raid, things like that. That has a potential to change things a lot. Not confirmed yet. It's just what I suspect from what I've seen in the couple of raids that I played. Very eager to test it out and figure out kind of the nuances of that system. Now, they do say that the ballistic plates are divided into different formats depending on the size and the format of the armor section. So you're going to have size and shape requirements, and then those are going to go into specific kind of armors. And with how many armors out there, it's going to take a while to figure out exactly how that system works and makes sense, but we'll get there. With that, they added separate ballistic plate zones on the character, visually matching the location in the body armor. So it just means that your character is going to have a separate hitbox for that body armor specifically. The interesting thing is it shows that the hit registration zones of ballistic plates of the same format have the same position in all body armor and plates carriers with slots for that plate format. So it doesn't matter the different kinds of armors, that plate hitbox is going to be in the same place. It makes me wonder if visually that's going to be different, or there's going to be slight changes. Again, it's just something we're going to have to play with and get through a bunch of the different plates and armor systems. But they tried to simplify that, it looks like, by doing this system. They tried to simplify a complex system that they've already made more complex. Again, it's going to take a ton of time to get through this and really figure out the nuances of it. And that's just another layer on top of the already existing nuances of the Tarkov armor system. It also talks here, they got the ballistic plate slots and integrated armor slots have been added to body armor vests and plate carriers. So this is just on the different vests, the slots for either integrated, which means it's built into the armor. You can't change it. It's there always. It's repairable, but it maintains the durability, all that kind of stuff. They added that along with the place for ballistic plates. So potentially you have armor that's doubled up, I think. Again, testing is going to need to be done to see, if you have like a level 3 vest and you put a level 4 plate on it, does the level 3 vest stop the damage before the level 4 plate takes it? I don't know. We just have to do a bunch of testing on that. Eager to do it. I want to know how they decided to do that stuff, because it has just huge impacts on how you play through a raid. They also talked about body armor protection is no longer uniform. It depends on what areas the body armor visually protects. For example, no body armor protects the armpit area. So visually, you have like the ospreys that cover your shoulders and stuff. Those, if you get shot there in that armor area, it will stop the damage. But I'm guessing that if you get shot down lower in the arm, it's not going to stop the damage. Again, that's a guess. It needs to be tested. Don't have the ability to do it yet. So I'm just kind of talking through what I expect to see out of these patch notes and what I'm going to go try to find out based on reading them. They also talk about an armored collar that protects the net hitboxes added to a large number of body armors. Haven't seen it yet, other than body armors that already had neck protection, at least visually. I don't know if they added additional neck protection to body armor that didn't have it before. Just gonna have to go through and check that stuff out. This could just mean that the armors like the Karas that have a collar on them, they added a new armor area for that. They didn't add one to the armor itself. They just added that factor to it. So just more stuff to check and see that is going to have a pretty big impact on a lot of these hitboxes, especially when it comes to shotguns and some of the flesh rounds on pistols and where you're hitting. Those collar armors could be potentially very, very important. They also adjusted body armor, vest cost, weights, penalties. It's all been changed. They've overhauled everything, it looks like, from where you can get it, what it costs to get it, whether it's available on the flea. They put a lot of this armor back on the flea market. My guess is because the armor itself isn't that great without a plate, and by restricting the plates, like they talk about later, that's how they're going to restrict, like they have in the past with this armor. Now, they specifically say here integrated armor cannot be removed or replaced, which tells me the non-integrated armor, the plates, can be. So that, again, I just can't wait to try that out. Swap out my first plates in the middle of a raid. I think is going to be a cool thing, especially if my plates get smoked by a scav, an AI scav, but now I can put new plates in and not have to give up on my raid. I think is pretty cool. All of this also has changed how the light armor and heavy armor skills level. In the past, basically the skills only leveled by repairing with armor repair kits. I have leveled up heavy armor already. Wearing that level 3 heavy armor that you can get. I found it in raid. I got shot. I got 0.2 skill points. So I don't know if it's by taking damage, if it's moving around, but they have added more ways to level up these skills. So I'll be eager to figure that out, exactly how that works, and let you guys know so that we can level these skills up for a change instead of having to cheese them to get it, and get the benefits of these skill systems that they've added to the game, rather than it just being some obtuse streamer skill that only streamers that have millions of rubles and go buy tons of armor and repair it and just burn tens or 20s of millions of rubles. They're the only ones that have the skill that's usable. This is good to push it so more players can actually level it up and get use out of it. They also modified the damage parameter on various armor materials to reflect the new durability values. So that just has to do with how different stuff happens between like steel, ceramic, titan, the HDP stuff. That is all going to have to be relooked at on how they take damage based on being shot. If they've changed that, it matters more so with how many shots you can take on armor. So it just remains to be seen. Now, when it comes to repairs, repairing armor durability is distributed according to the following priorities: basic plates, chest, back, sides, and then integrated armor, chest, collar, back, pelvis, side, other. You can repair ballistic plates as separate items. So it just talks about how the repair screen goes through this stuff. There's going to be some quirks with it. I'm going to have a bunch of broken armor and repair it and try to find out, do this, don't do this. This is when it's worthwhile. This is not, and see if anything's changed from previous armors. One of the big things is that the integrated armor can now receive enhancements when it is repaired. That is part of the skills with the heavy and light armor systems. Those can be really good, but it's interesting now because instead of like the whole PACA having the enhancement, it could just potentially be the front or just the back, or even some of the armors that just have sides. So it's going to kind of be weird when you're repairing armor and you only get enhancements on the side plates, but we'll see how that all pans out. With that, they also increased the chance to receive common and rare enhancements. Those have been increased the chance, so we should see those more frequently. As of before, you had to have level 10 before you would get them. I don't know if they've changed that or not. Time will tell. Now with interface, you can see the durability of different armor zones, plates, by hovering over the durability digit of the vest and the helmet. So basically the overall durability is going to be shown. If you hover over that durability, it'll show you a breakdown, so you can see, like if you see a vest that's like 85 of 100 and you hover over it and you see, maybe you care about the front and the front plate's fine but the back plate's screwed up, you can buy that armor and you don't care. It's worth more than one that's the other way around. So just a way that you can quickly look at those things. Good little UI interface deal. You can see brief information about the presence and quantity of ballistic plates in the post-flea market offers. Slots for ballistic plates, integrated armor, if the vest has them, have been added to the vest and helmet inspection screens. An order of slots is always the same. So that's just down at the bottom. Kind of think of it like attachments on a weapon. That's how they're going to display. With that, they also have armor classes now displayed with a Roman numeral icon on the ballistic plate icon in the armor class list. This will make it stand out a little bit better, I think. There wasn't necessarily anything wrong with 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6, or 1 in the rare case that is out there, but the Roman numeral system, I think, works better for visual and easier to see. I could be wrong. For me, I think it's better. Now with flea market, like I said, they removed a large number of body armors from the bans, but I think this is offset that those armors aren't as good without their plates, because ballistic plates, protection class 5 and 6, cannot be sold on the flea market, but ballistic plates have been added to the various traders. So this tells me 2 through 4 plates, if those exist, which I can't imagine why they wouldn't. Maybe there's not 2 or 3, but 4 for sure. There's got to be class 4 plates, maybe not. Those maybe are available, but they don't say specifically, so we just have to kind of wait and see. Now with this, they added vaulting. I got a chance to play with a little bit. There's a couple of systems to it that are kind of need tweaking, I think. We'll see. The default, I left my settings as default, which basically mean you've got kind of medium height obstacles. In order to climb over those, it kind of threw me for a loop. You've got to hold your space bar, and that's the default, so that if you just tap it, you're going to jump. But if things are shorter, if you tap it, I think it does the hurdle or the vault just fine. Again, I haven't had enough time to really play with it, but that's how it felt like to me. The jumping also seems delayed. Like there's a delay in there, and it might be because of the settings that when you hit spacebar, you don't jump right away. Like the game's waiting to see if you're holding or something else. So there's a delay. So I'm going to play with those settings a little bit to get them back to where you can still jump over stuff and get over things with jumping, but still have that ability with the vaulting to be useful. Now, all of these have different kinds of animations. They use different amounts of stamina, arm stamina, all that kind of stuff based on weight, height, what you're action you're actually performing. So all that's going to be need to pay attention to. If you're really heavy and you're trying to climb up on something big, it's going to burn a ton of stamina when it does that. But on the flip side, the vaulting, a big thing with that is your ability to get over items without jumping and making a ton of noise. And in my mind, that's going to be where the most impact is with a lot of these things, is that whole process of getting around the map more quietly, aside from just being able to climb up on stuff that you might not be able to jump, simply because of strength or weight or things like that. Now, it says here, during a sprint, you can jump over obstacles without the goal of climbing them vaulting. So this is the old system where you can still jump and clear things. Again, this is going to need some tweaking, I think, because of the delays and how the hotkey system works. As soon as I can get that figured out, I will try to get a guide out for you guys to walk you through so that you can set the system up to function for how you play, because that's really what it comes down to. It doesn't matter what I do, it matters what you need to do. So we'll get the system figured out so that you guys have that ability. And they talk about this here a little bit. For the convenience of overcoming obstacles, an option has been added to the game setting vault over medium obstacles, where you can choose auto or hotkey. If you select auto, your character will climb over medium and low height obstacles by himself. If you select hotkey, you will need to press the jump key to initiate vaulting, but this way you can control the character's actions more precisely. Again, this is what I'm talking about. On top of that, the character now stops if he hits a wall while walking or sprinting. And it wasn't a complete stop, it was like a crawl. But this is going to change that whole meta of running into the wall to bait people. You're not going to be able to run in place against something to bait folks anymore. I'm sure people are going to find another way to do it, but right now, from what I saw, it stops you when you hit the wall. There's not going to be any of that running in place stuff, which can be a bad thing, I think, if it's not tuned properly. Because if you're running, like, let's say you catch the corner of a bookcase or something, that could potentially stop you instead of you running, and that's a bad thing. Hopefully that's not what's happening. We'll see as we get some more time in the game, but be very careful of that when you're running around, that objects might stop you kind of like a bush does in the middle of a building. Now, the shoulder transition is kind of cool. I haven't had a ton of time to screw with it, but it does help on the left leaning. It's just going to take time to build that muscle memory to have it, because I'm just used to ignoring that whole left side, right side thing and just kind of playing. It's not the best thing to do, but I'm kind of lazy when it's that kind of stuff. But now that you have left leaning, there's a potential for so many different kind of plays you can make. For me, I rebound it to a 5th mouse button. It defaults to mouse 4, which with that is why they reset everybody's controls, by the way. Your controls are going to be, your default controls are nuked. It's just what they did. It sucks. So you'll have to go through and reset stuff if you can remember. But for me, I use mouse 4 for something else. I use it to cycle my scopes. You know, if you have a mount on top or different optics, that's what I use my number 4 with. But I have a 5th mouse button. That's what I bound it to, and we'll see how that works, and we'll play with it as we go forward. Now, you can do the shoulder transition while walking, crouching, leaning, and other actions. The transition is not available while prone, and overhead and side built blind firing. So you can't like blind fire and then switch to the left blind fire, I think. We'll see. The big thing with being prone is kind of a deal. If you're prone, so that means if you're prone, you can't go into it. And if you're left side leaning, you won't be able to go prone. I didn't test how that mechanic works. If you're switched to the left side and then you hit prone, does it switch to the right, make you go prone, or does it just not let you go prone? And doing this switch isn't without penalty. Positioning the weapon in the left shoulder imposes a penalty. The weapon has additional sway when moving. So just keep that in mind. If you're swinging a corner, point firing with a left lean might be more effective, but you're also going to have more sway in there. So just keep that in mind. And this is the part where they talk about how they removed all settings. Shoulder transition action default key is mouse 4. Added vaulting action default key space. Press type is continuous, so that's the hold function. Jump action has been reassigned to spacebar key with release, press type. Try these control settings in the game before changing them. So that's the idea. That's why when like you hit spacebar, it kind of feels delayed because you got to let go for it to happen. So if you've got a lot of timing that's going to change that, you're going to need it. That's the setting you're going to have to change if you want that jump mechanic back. But it also means that your holding deal won't work. You'll have to find some other way for vaulting, which we're going to see a lot of opinions about that. And you're going to be able to find some really clever changes to keybinds that people come up with that are probably going to work pretty well. With this, they also added preset ammo loading. You can now save setting presets for loading ammunition and magazines sequentially, as well as quickly load magazines using the presets. This allows you to just load magazines with multiple kinds of ammos if you want, or specific kinds of ammos, and do it quickly, not have to hunt for ammo and split stacks and stuff. Cool feature. I can't wait to try this out and play with it. I use this stuff a lot just myself, so being able to do this quickly is going to be a godsend, I think. You'll be able to create up to 30 unique magazine load presets with a limit of 5 per caliber. The only downside I see right now, and I haven't played with it, it doesn't look like you can do any more than 2 types of ammo. So you can't do like 3 in a mag or something like that. You can only do 2. Still better than nothing, but just keep that in mind. But it does include the ability to do loop, this is, I believe, going to be for like belt feds if you want a tracer every 5th round, let's say. So you could set, 4 rounds, 1 round, 5th round tracer, 4, 5th. That's the loop setting. It'll load your belt fed that way, or even your magazine. But that's where you're usually going to see stuff like that, is in belt feds. The new recoil mechanic. This is going to be the one that everybody talks about. And this is the one that I actually got to experience a little bit. It's weird. If you've got a lot of time in Tarkov, it's weird because the guns are they don't move. Like there's no recoil. I shot an MP5 and it threw me off guard because I tend to, with the MP5 or the gun's early wipe, I tend to aim low to counteract that recoil, so that when it jumps, I can settle that recoil full auto somewhere. Well, the first time I shot the MP5, it just didn't move. It's just straight steady. Some people are going to love it. Most people are probably going to love it at first. Some people are going to hate it. Get some time with it with the different guns. But even a bone stock AK-74 that I picked up off a guy was working incredibly well, full auto, semi-auto, burst fire. It's kind of crazy. I do expect a lot of balance changes to come over the next week, maybe even month or 2 months, as they try to dial these in, get weapons to where the balance of them makes sense with their recoil. So I wouldn't get too sunk into where things are sitting right now, because I'm almost positive we're going to see changes as we go through the rest of patch 14. So after recoil, we have Lightkeeper services. There's some crazy stuff in here. So if you get Lightkeeper unlocked and you level him up, you'll get more services. The first one is you get a sacred amulet. You get an amulet, and while you're wearing it, the cultists will not attack you unless you provoke them. So you could run around and not have to worry about dying to cultists. Kind of a niche thing that could be cool when you're trying to get into killing them to get better position, figure out, not be surprised by them. Don't know if it's does it go into your special slot or not, or if it just sits in your pocket. Not totally sure how it works, or if you die, you lose it. Once we get more information on that, I'll let you guys know. Rogue support service basically allows you to purchase neutral, a little bit better than neutral stance with the rogues, even if you're a bear. So you can even as a bear, you can get into the water treatment plant a little bit easier now. In addition, the rogues will provide fire support by attacking targets that the player who purchased the service has to direct their attention to. Not sure how that works yet. We're gonna have to play with that. And I also don't know if this applies to the goons. It will be really interesting if this service makes the goons non aggro to you, but I'm not sure yet. And then after that, the last one is Zerachi's support service. When a player buys a service in that raid, Zerachi will support the player by firing at the targets the player is attacking. This is potentially crazy wild, because if you're trying to do your lighthouse runs, and Zerachi's, you've paid for this already and it lasts for raids or whatever, Zerachi can cover you all the way out of the map practically. Potentially exciting addition to Lightkeeper and how he runs. Weapon rack. So now they've got it so you can display your favorite weapons on your profile screen. So weapons that are in the weapon rack, you just click a button, they show up over there and people can see what your favorite weapons are. Maybe the builds that your favorite M4 build or something. If you're a streamer, your fans can watch it, or you can show it to your buddies, things like that. And that gets into the viewable profiles that we were talking about. You have the ability to view another player's profile page. In a player's profile page, you can view gear equipped by the player, brief statistics, rare achievements earned, favorite weapon displayed at the weapon rack, favorite items displayed in the Hall of Fame. Player profiles can be viewed on any screen in the game, including the raid exit screen after dying to another player. So specifically what you're going to see, I'm not totally sure yet. I didn't play with it, but it is there to look at. AI got a tweak. We'll see how this plays out. The AI in Tarkov is always a contentious thing to talk about because it's all over the place. Sometimes it's like, I can't tell if it's a person or an AI scav, which is cool. The other time they're shooting you through 7 bushes with predator vision and they're worse than cheaters. But AI adjusted peaceful and combat behavior of AI when moving from one area to another within one location. So what we've seen last wipe, towards the end of the wipe and stuff, is scavs were roaming further. They were moving distances. They used to be kind of caged into an invisible fence and they wouldn't leave that based on their spawn. We were seeing bosses chase people all the way across maps, scavs going huge distances to check out sounds. So I kind of feel like this is where they're going with that, is to make it more organic. They said balancing changes to ammo, change trader prices, availability of ammunition in the following calibers. And I don't know, it looks like they listed just about every caliber. There might be a couple, like the TAWS isn't in here, but I don't know what else isn't in here. Not going to go through the list one by one and find that out. Most of the ammo got rebalanced essentially. They changed the trader prices and availability of armor on loyalty levels, adjusted various trade offers and barters of weapon chats and other items. So basically they just overhauled the barter and buy system because everything has changed. Armor's changed, ammo's going to change, all of that's going to change. And we're going to see more changes as we figure out where the weaknesses in the system are, and that's going to be all part of the next couple of months. They added some balancing changes to quests, expanded quest rewards. You will now be rewarded more often with unlocking previously unavailable trade-off or barter ammo and armor crafting recipes. So there's just going to be stuff that wasn't there. Don't know what this means. I don't know if this means they're going to let you unlock like 338 Lapua AP crafting, things like that, stuff that you couldn't craft before, 300 blackout AP or SSA IP, who knows. That's kind of what it sounds like they're going, is they're making things more available on the traders if you can get them unlocked. Change the order of skier quests between Friend from the West Part 2 and Setup. So those are switched now. New order: Final Friend from the West Part 2, then to Setup, then to Inform Means Arm, then to Chumming, then to Bullshit, then to Silent Caliber. Change the quest objectives for the Punisher Part 2, Part 4, as well as Tarkov Shooter Part 4. We'll have to wait to see where we get there. Balancing changes to crafting, adjusted armor crafts. Now to make an armor vest, you need to find a set of fabrics and a ballistic plate that fits the form factor. So we'll just have to see what armor crafting. Maybe they added a bunch, made it more sensible. Some of the crafts were okay, but pretty niche. Maybe they're more in line with what we want to see now and make more sense to do for crafts. Adjusted ammo crafts, reduced the production time and cost of cheap ammunition. Just have to see what they consider cheap ammunition. I don't know. Is that PP ammo? Is that 856A1? Not totally sure. We'll just have to see where that falls into this whole equation. Then with balancing changes to ammo, basically the damage and armor penetration parameters of different caliber ammunition have been revised and adjusted. Haven't looked at the charts yet, but to me, with everything else going, it made sense that they were going to overhaul a lot of damage and pen, and they're going to continue to change as they find, again, holes in the current system with where it's at. So it just remains to be seen what ammos are going to be good, where they're going to last. Everything we've memorized over the last several years is going to go out the window. Now, one of the biggest things they've added, the craziest things they've added, is the BTR taxi. I've only seen people. I haven't been able to use this yet. You can use it as a scav even. Even scavs can get into this, so keep that in mind. The first thing it does, it offers a couple of services. Once you climb in, you talk to the driver, you get the taxi service. Basically, you click taxi, then you click on where you want to go, and it's a specific point on the map, and the BTR drives there, and you're safe. I've seen people getting shot at, and it looks like they're getting hit. Like they get the damage, the shake, the whole 9 yards, but they don't take any damage. So kind of a funky way the system works, but apparently you're invulnerable in it, which is kind of cool. Be able to get around parts on the map, be able to get to extracts, things like that if you can get to it. There's move items to stash service. This lets you take items, like let's say you've got quest items or something like that. For money, you can put them in the BTR, and the BTR will move them to your stash and maintain found and raid. It's only available for PMCs, and it takes an hour, it looks like, and that time might reduce as you get higher scav karma or certain other factors like charisma. I don't know yet, but right now the base is an hour to get those items out of raid. So pretty cool trick. You get some quest items, but you still want to fight, you can throw those in the BTR and off you go. So hopefully, and this only works for streets obviously, so hopefully we see some stuff like this, like maybe some dead drops or some interactions with scavs, actual scavs in raid eventually, where we can do services like this on multiple maps. I think that is a huge plus for the game, and will change a lot of the dynamics that we face day to day with how we fight players and AI and things like that. And then the last one is covering fire. I haven't seen this yet. Basically, the player can order covering fire with the help of the BTR weaponry, which provides the safest possible drop up at the stopping point. The service is available only after purchasing the taxi service. The service is available only for PMCs, so scavs will be able to do it, thank God. You'll hop in the taxi, you'll tell it where you want to go, and then you want to do covering fire. And basically, once you get out, the BTR will attack your enemies until they're all gone, and then it goes back to neutral all players again. Now, the stop points for the BTR are the Pinewood Hotel, the Rodina Cinema, Collapsed Crane, Cardinal Apartment Complex, Tram, and City Center. So you can get to pretty much a lot of the corners of the map if you can get to the BTR. So I think that's pretty cool. We'll kind of have to see how that works, if it's in every raid or if it's kind of like Car where it shows up sometimes. I don't know. And for right now, the BTR is neutral to everybody unless somebody's bought the covering fire service. But unless you attack the BTR, it's going to leave you alone, it looks like. Now, with quality of life, visual effects on the painkillers have been changed. Basically, what this is from what I've noticed so far, is you don't get the really blurry vision until the pain pills start to wear off. I think this is a great change. You can pre-pain again. You can use your pain pills effectively in a fight, but there still is a downside to it. And how that plays off with all the different painkillers is going to take a little while to figure it out. The only thing I've used right now so far is Vaseline and the regular pain pills. And I got that effect. It was kind of weird because it didn't show up right away. So I'll play with a little bit more, pay a little bit more attention to it, see exactly how it works. But I think it's moved in the right direction. I felt last wipe was too punishing. We still needed to change the pain pills because it was the mechanic was kind of useless and stupid because everybody just ran around pained all the time and there was no real downside to it. So BSG is trying to tweak that to make it, I guess, so it actually had that whole pain system has a function, if you will. With the hideout, the door that goes to the expanded part where the weight room is, they made that to where it's always open now after construction, so you don't have to open it, which is kind of nice. And then they changed the camera system in the hideout, which is kind of weird. You move around, it's not on a rail anymore where you kind of slide around. You can free move, so that's kind of cool how that works, and be able to spin around and just kind of hover wherever you want. Now, with the list of changes, it's mostly fixes. There isn't a whole lot of crazy stuff in here, but there's like fixed a problem that led to lack of damage reduction from melee weapons. I ran into this a couple of times. It was hard to spot. You had to really pay attention to the death screen to see that, or the end of raid screen. But there was that. It looks like they fixed the incorrect behavior of rogues with how, and I'm thinking this is how they rush everybody. Not 100% sure, so we'll have to kind of wait and see how this works out. I don't think BSG meant it for every rogue to rush the point and just bot farm them, because it made them a lot easier to fight, to be honest with you. So we'll have to see how the rogues are behaving now, but I think that's what this is related to. There was some UI stuff with the camera that they fixed, and then just a bunch of various other issues, specifically like, you know, you hear outdoor sounds while in the bunker reserve, and reserve sounds have been screwed up for a while now, and I don't know that they're fixed yet. We'll just have to wait and see. But that's pretty much it. That's the patch notes. I'm gonna go take a nap, and hopefully we can stream again because my game actually opened up, which is kind of nice. I guess I can show you guys some of these systems because we're in here. Like here's the achievement system. As you guys can see, we got as far as completed, it looks like I've got 2 of 44 completed. There's 10 hidden achievements. There's all sorts of weird stuff in here. You can check it out as you want. As far as stats, one of the other cool things they did is you can see your scav stats now on this tab. You couldn't do that before. You could look at them when you were in raid as a scav, but now you can look at your scav stats. But keep in mind that they're averaged. Your overall average is both of those now. And I don't know if that happened before or not, but now with your PMC, you got your PMC stats, you got your scav stats, all that kind of stuff. As far as the armor, I'll show you like what they were talking about. Here's some of the armor stuff, but like here's the level 4 back plates, or sorry, level 3 back plates that you can pull out. You still have class 2 aramid on the front, but then you throw these in here and now they're class 3 and a class 2. So I don't know if that system works out to be the same as a class 4. Maybe it does. Oh wait, no, that says class 4 right there. It says level 3P ballistic plates. Man, that's confusing. I wonder why they did that, but whatever. But like I said earlier, if you hover over the durability, it shows you the different things. The PACA, it has the chest back, left and right side. So these areas, as far as the plates that you can't take out, like it says if you're wearing it, we're in stash, so it'll let you take these out, but you couldn't do that when you were in raid. So there's some of the big changes with the armor system. Helmets, as you can see, they have more armor hit places now, ears, stuff like that. Even if it's not removable, it's there to see. Now, as far as seeing other players' things, let's go look at Devil Dog Gamer. We can go look at his profile. you can kind of see what he has. He has no favorite weapons, no favorite items, because it's probably a hideout requirement. But we can see his top line stats here. Eventually arena, hopefully. You won't be able to see detailed stats, but you can see these top line stats, kind of see where people are at, regardless of if they're in your friends list or not, it looks like. And then like we were talking about, you got the hideout. I'll show you here real quick. When you move around, it's not on a rail anymore. Once it loads here, let's get it up. You can see how it kind of just moves around where you want, and you can spin. I'm holding the middle mouse button, it'll let you spin. WASD moves you around, you can zoom in, whatever. This tells me something more. They're planning more here. Kind of a weird feature to add, out of place feature to add, but it tells me that they're adding more. As far as the traders in here, I haven't had a chance to really look through this and see what all some of the major changes they made were, especially with some of the tasks and stuff. I got some of my tasks done and got to like debut and stuff that are on the new location, but I still have a few to do for ground zero to get the other ones unlocked. But that's it. We'll wrap it up. Thank you guys for watching. If you're having trouble getting in, I know it sucks. I'm sorry. I am too. A lot of streamers. There's some people that are streamers. I don't know if you care about streamers, but they're not special in this anyway. There's streamers that haven't played it all yet today. Everybody's struggling to get in. I guess not everybody, but most people are. So just keep at it. It will get better for a while, but it'll also get worse. I expect it to kind of come in ebb and flow as we go through this weekend and get through the new year, and people get back to jobs and school and stuff like that. It'll start to get better, but per the normal, it usually gets worse before it gets better, especially with drops coming here in a couple of days. And we'll do another video about that, but drops start on the 29th, which is Friday, and that is probably going to make this stuff worse. Just have to kind of wait and see. But wish you guys the best of luck in your raids. We'll see you in Tarkov if you can get in.